Game week is finally here, and it's a doozy to start the season. Bills against the Ravens, and here we go. The 2025 season about to kick off. Casual Kevin Carroll, Andy Young. The regular season is starting. He means business, dressed to the nines.
Look good, feel good, play good.
I feel fine.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how this thing goes. Andy, let's get into it off the top. We got the season coming up. They're starting with the Ravens, a team they eliminated from the playoffs last year. Plenty to dive into, but the big question that everyone's been trying to figure out the last few weeks, what's going on with Tre'Davious White? The Bills' whole cornerback situation was just a big question mark going into today. We have a little more clarity on what's going on as they get ready to take on the Ravens.
Tre'Davious White did not practice here on Wednesday as the Bills gear up for the Ravens this week, their first practice of the week, game week. White not on the field, but Sean McDermott did not rule him out from playing on Sunday. Mm-hmm. The less he practices, the less likely that becomes. I did see Trey White walking around after practice in the field house. Didn't see a noticeable limp or anything like that. The interesting part here is all along the Bills have been saying it was a lower leg injury. Well, turns out on the first injury report, the first official injury report of the season, it's a groin injury for Tre'Davious White. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what that means for him. Is that something different than what he experienced before? I don't know.
I was going to say it didn't look like a groin injury when he left the field the day we were there for the stadium practice. Mm-hmm. But then again, who knows? You know, it might have just shocked him that bad that he went hopping off the field. If you've ever had a groin injury, you don't really hop off the field on it. But, I mean, who knows? At the end of the day,
right. It's
a groin injury. It's not an ankle injury or a knee injury, so you know, it appears it's not as bad as it could have been as this moves on. But like you said, it also appears that they could be in a bit of trouble for this opener.
Look, you're playing against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and the like for the Baltimore Ravens. And if you go into that game shorthanded, no matter who it is and at what position, that could be trouble. So if Trey White cannot play in this game, and who knows how Trey White would have been even, right? Mm-hmm. If he could play. Is he the Trey White of old, or is he something much less like we saw last season coming off injuries? Is he somewhere in between? Now, if Trey White does not play, you could be looking at a rookie, Dorian Strong, a 6th-round draft pick, starting or playing for the Bills. You could be looking at Jamarcus Ingram, the former UB Bull, who plays a variety of roles as a backup corner, a dime safety, a dime corner, all these different things. Or also, there's the possibility of calling Dane Jackson, who started games for the Bills but was cut, back up off the practice squad either way. So regardless of who's playing among those three, there are some question marks there, to be sure, when you're facing one of the best offenses and best teams overall in the NFL.
Well, and the other question was Christian Benford, same stadium practice, said he was fine, hadn't been practicing. He did practice today, though. But, I mean, holy cow, you start the season without Trey White and Christian Benford, Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. That's a real tough ask, but like I said, Benford practicing.
Yeah. Good news there for the Bills. He did practice in limited fashion. Much like the Trey White situation, Sean McDermott said today before practice that it was a lower leg injury for Benford as well. Turns out, also a groin. I'm not really sure where the disconnect is there, but whatever.
Maybe they don't know where the groin is.
It's under the knee. I don't know what's going on with that. But, yeah, I mean, if they were down Benford and White, you're looking at a real problematic situation. But it looks like Benford is going to be okay. We did talk to him after practice, and he said he's feeling fine, and he's good to go, and he's blessed, and he's ready to rock and roll. So we'll see throughout the week what that means. Players are always going to say, hey, I'm going to play. But Benford looked promising as far as what he was doing on the field and then his status on the injury report.
Let's clean up the injury report and then really dive into things while we're talking about it.
Okay.
Because there are some names on there that you're like, okay, but it's not like a long list, and I don't think it's a big deal. I know you have it up in front of you as long as the cornerback situation pans out, but we'll see.
Yeah. Dwayne Carter is actually not on IR, at least as of yet. The Bills may rock with only 52 players going into this game, with that injury ending his season, as reported, with an Achilles tear.
Right.
We'll see what happens there. Could be just procedural, the way they're handling that situation. We talked about Tre'Davious White did not practice. Khalil Shakir did practice in full, coming off his high ankle sprain. So it looks like off to the races for Shakir. That's been a situation worth monitoring. He's missed basically a month since he went down. And then Keon Coleman popped up with a groin injury as well. Limited in practice on the injury report. I don't think it's anything major, but we'll see. It's worth monitoring throughout the week. Tyler Bass, limited in practice, left hip groin, but, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he kicked well. They haven't signed another kicker, so Bass should be good to go too.
All right. Now, this whole season obviously revolves around Josh Allen like it does every year. Coming off an MVP season, Andy, pressure maybe kicked up a notch. Him and the Bills are going up against a team with Lamar Jackson, who many people still say should have won the MVP last year over Allen. This is a big start to the season with this matchup here. And Allen doesn't seem to me, from what we've gone throughout training camp and leading up to the regular season, and all the stuff that Allen has done during the offseason, including getting married, all the commercials he's in now, he seems like he's in a good space going into this. But I do have some concerns, at least for the opener, where he doesn't get into preseason games, that's maybe been an issue for the Bills in some of their openers. The loss to the Jets, the loss to the Steelers. It wasn't a great performance against Arizona last year.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times where they get off to slow starts. And if you're off to a slow start against the Ravens, good luck. Listen, it's the season opener. It's not going to make or break the season, but it could have ramifications down the line. I mean, these are two of the top three teams, projected at least, in the AFC this season. So what happens in week 1 couldn't matter in week 18 when the 1 seed is on the line potentially.
Right.
Could a win over the Ravens vault them over the Ravens into the 1 seed and potentially the Chiefs or whomever else might be in play at that point. So this is a massive game, no doubt about it. Josh Allen said, look, it's the first game of the season. It's going to be electric. It's Sunday Night Football. We know the fans are going to be pumped at Highmark Stadium in the final regular season opener at the old Highmark Stadium before they open up the new one. So there is a whole lot riding on this game. The Ravens, of course, have the added motivation of getting bounced from the playoffs last year. I think to some degree that's a bit overrated. Motivation from a season before. Okay, great. Well, you lost to them when it mattered 6 months ago.
I mean, heck, every season the Bills are motivated to beat the Chiefs during the regular season, and they do.
Right.
But then it doesn't work out once again in the postseason. So It's like banging your head against a wall.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about Sisyphus and rolling a rock up a hill.
Yeah.
One of those things. Greek mythology will take you back. My old English teachers would be proud of that. But listen, you can say it's just another game, but it does matter. It's the Ravens. It's Lamar Jackson. It's the battle of MVPs. It's the clash of Derrick Henry and what he did to them in the regular season last year versus how they were sort of able to slow him down in the playoffs, at least that he's not running wild, and make that a point where they could get ahead in that game and hang on for dear life. And, Mark Andrews
needed a lot to go their way.
Mark Andrews drops the ball. Otherwise, we were talking a tie game late in that game. But, I mean, these are two teams that absolutely think they can and should win the Super Bowl. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to have an opener like this that's not like the Super Bowl champ playing somebody.
Well, you have the Super Bowl champ playing Dallas, which Dallas, after they trade Micah Parsons, they just keep getting worse and worse by the day. So that kind of takes away from the Thursday night opener, and then you have a game Friday night that's on YouTube with the Chiefs and
in Brazil.
In Brazil, but this is Sunday night football.
Right.
All eyes will be on this.
It's the marquee matchup.
And you have Allen and the offense coming out, and aside from Khalil Shakir and a second-year wide receiver in Keon Coleman, and I always want to say Emmanuel Sanders. Curtis Samuel played sparingly last year, came on towards the end, but he does have new targets involved too, including Joshua Palmer, who seems to be the guy at the moment as we head into the season.
I mean, the defense for the Ravens is really good. The Bills' offense, for as good as it can be, has its hands full with this game. It's not going to be easy for the Bills to go up and down and score. I don't think, right? Mm-hmm. I could be surprised and they go out and crush the Ravens. I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Me too.
But, yeah, I mean, they've got some things to work through. Good thing for the Bills is they've got all 5 offensive linemen back and looking healthy, one of the better units in the league. All 3 running backs back, James Cook back, paid, and ready to rock and roll. Can you get more out of Kincaid? You've got Knox. Shakir, healthy, that's a big deal because I think that's Josh Allen's number 1 go-to target. He was asked about that today at practice, and he said, look, I know where he's going to be. I know his body language. I know what he's thinking out there as far as finding space, and there's no hesitation in Khalil Shakir's game. There might be some growing pains with Joshua Palmer and getting the timing down and getting that all straightened out.
That's my concern right there with Josh not playing in game-type action is that, you know, this isn't you're running back out with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and some new secondary receivers. Some of your top guys that it looks like that are going to be in the game plan are players that you just haven't been in game action with.
Yeah, I mean, There are reasons for concern for the Bills in this game, no doubt about it. It would not surprise me at all if they come away unsuccessful against the Ravens in week 1. And we're looking here next week saying, how do they right the ship? How do they figure things out? Typically they do.
Right.
But, yeah, you're right. There are some things offensively to be concerned about. I'm much more concerned about the defensive side of the ball than I am the offense.
Yeah, I mean, head-to-head, I think the offense and the Ravens' defense, that's a solid matchup. It could be a nightmare on the other way around with Lamar Jackson and company going up against a defensive line that has new people, including rookies that look to be rotated in throughout the game. Joey Bosa is probably going to be limited, or how they want to manage Joey Bosa at the start of the season, wanting him healthy. Matt Milano and Bernard, they're both healthy going into this game. That's good. But then you have the whole Cole Bishop thing going on at safety and the whole questions at cornerback and who might be in. And, you know, Zay Flowers is back. He didn't even play in the divisional game last season. So he's going to be more in the mix.
On a positive note, and we'll get back to the negative in a second here.
I'm being very negative.
For the Bills,
today.
It does sound like their tight end, one of their 2 standout tight ends, Isaiah Likely, not likely to play in this game. He's been dealing with injuries all summer.
Yeah.
So reports out there that he's not likely to play. So that could help them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where the Bills drafted these guys and reshaped their defensive front for a situation like this, right? So these rookies, like T.J. Sanders and Deion Walker, potentially Landon Jackson, are going to be thrown right into the fire. And we're going to see just how good these guys are. It's a tough test when you're going up against 250-pound Derrick Henry who can run like the wind. And, of course, we know everything that Lamar can do. He's one of the best players I think we've ever seen, just in terms of the athletic ability and the things he's able to do out there on a football field. Some of the stuff is unseen. So I think it's really important for the defensive front to be disciplined, to get after Jackson like they did a little bit in the playoff game last season. But you got to maintain your lanes, right? They got a little bigger up front in the offseason. Maybe that helps against a Ravens team that likes to go heavy and bludgeon you and pound you and bring it right at you. And then, oh, by the by, oh, Lamar's just going to fake that handoff and run outside and make a throw or run the ball himself. They've got to do all the things. So this is a great test for them right off the bat to see where they are. It's a unique matchup. You're not going to see a whole lot of teams that play the way the Ravens do, but from a physicality standpoint, from the standpoint of being disciplined and understanding your assignments, this is why they bring these guys in, but they're going to get that stern test right off the bat.
I love you bring up Derrick Henry, and we talked to Dorian Strong after practice, who's from the Baltimore area. And I liked his answer to, what are you going to do if you're one-on-one with Derrick Henry? And he brought up, you got to tackle him low and watch out for that stiff arm because he'll just push you right away and go right through you, which I would think as a rookie, looking at him and playing the position of cornerback and you're left by yourself, that's nuts. I mean,
yeah.
If you played any kind of tackle football, Andy, the bigger guy running at you, if you're on defense, if you're not fully into your technique, things are not going to go well for you. And the rookie knows it. And he talked about, being a fan of Lamar as a kid, but I think he even said, but he doesn't like the Ravens anymore or something towards that effect.
On the complete opposite end of the size spectrum, you have Deion Walker, the massive man, 6'7", 330 pounds, defensive tackle rookie out of Kentucky. And he was asked, what sort of questions have you had for your teammates about playing Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? He laughed. He goes, I'd ask, are these guys for real?
Right.
Right? Like, is that really Derrick Henry? Can he really do those things? Can Lamar Jackson really do those things? He was joking, of course, but there is something to that. For these guys, it's trial by fire.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel we've just been so negative towards the Bills so far, but unfortunately there are those questions going into this game right now, at least this one game off the top.
I do wonder how much different the defense will look than it typically does. So last year in the first game, they got trounced.
Right.
And in the second game in the playoffs, they had to adjust. They had to go more three linebackers, traditional base defense, as opposed to what their base defense is, which is usually two linebackers and Taron Johnson as a nickel corner. Do we see more of that? Do we see more of Dorian Williams on the field in this game, or a Shaq Thompson, or Joe Andreessen? I don't know. Probably Dorian Williams. He's more of an outside linebacker type, but what adjustments do they make there? Yes, you're taking one of your best playmakers and Taron Johnson off the field, but if that helps you stay heavy and strong at the point of attack, that might be what you have to do. How do the safeties hold up? You brought up Cole Bishop, Taylor Rapp. How does that all work out, right? Like, do you get burned on play action? Do you get burned downfield by a Zay Flowers, right? Like, those things are going to be tested right off the opening kickoff.
If these new guys on the defensive line can get to the quarterback, or at least pressure the quarterback more than that defensive line was able to do last year, that might help with what's going on in the secondary right now.
And that's the idea.
But again, that you're going into a game with a Ravens team, and that remains to be seen. If you were going against the Jets week one, maybe you'd have a little more, okay, let's settle in and see what's going on here. You've said thrown right into the fire, and that's what this is for these young guys and Joey Bosa, who were brought in to finish things. Not just almost get there, but to finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we've talked about it so much with Mahomes, because that's been
right
the Mount Everest for them in the playoffs. They just never seem to get him down. Had a couple of sacks in the AFC Championship game, but almost doesn't count in that moment. You got to get the guy down. And that's the same thing with Lamar or any great quarterback. You've got to get pressure on him, but do it in a controlled way, because if you're Greg Rousseau or Joey Bosa and you crash inside going after Lamar, but you miss and you don't get there, he breaks contain. Good luck. You're either looking at a 40-yard run by him or a deep pass down the field to Andrews or Flowers or whomever they throw out there. I mean, there's a lot of concern for this game. But if we're going to talk about positives for the Bills, like, what do you think are some areas they can exploit? Do you have any?
I don't have I honestly, if we're going to be honest here, I don't have a lot of confidence in how this opener is going to go for them. I I think the two teams are just in a different position. I don't even know. I want to say,
Is it just because it's a bad matchup for them too?
yes. The Ravens in general have been a bad matchup, even though the Bills have been able to beat them. I mean, they've had some play. You had the Taron Johnson interception in the end zone, goes back the other way in their first playoff meeting there. You needed turnovers and Andrews to drop a 2-point conversion to basically get by them last year. They blew your doors off during the regular season last year. I just don't think this matchup fits. I will be interested to see how the big interest is to see how the offense goes. James Cook gets paid. Are they going to use James Cook more, or are they going to keep doing what they did last year? Keon Coleman has looked great during the preseason and during training camp, and now he's up on the injury report. Joshua Palmer's been banged up during the – Elijah Moore's been banged up. Samuel's been banged up.
I wonder if we're talking positives, if they can maybe take advantage of Jair Alexander, who signed with the team. Looks like on their depth chart he's going to be their top outside corner other than Marlon Humphrey, who's very good, who's an inside corner, nickel corner. Do they have an opportunity there? I think Alexander was very good at times with the Packers, but he hasn't been that same player, I don't think, the last couple of years. Is there opportunity there in the passing game? Safeties are very good for the Ravens, but is there an opportunity to go after them a little bit in the middle of the field with a Dalton Kincaid? We'll see. I think when you have Allen and you have a strong running game where you can try to match the physicality, and that's key, is try to match or outpace the Ravens in terms of passion and physicality at the point of attack. If you can get James Cook rolling and then open up some play action to some of those guys I mentioned, that's where I think you can try to take advantage of the Ravens a little bit and their aggressiveness.
Kincaid's a big question mark to me, too. You know, he came in with a chip on his shoulder like Keon Coleman. I want to see this offense finally out there competing. It looks so promising, like during camp and stuff when they're at St. John Fisher and going through it. But then you have a dud with backups in Chicago.
I put nothing in. I put no stock into that whatsoever.
Okay.
None.
That's fine. I put into it that this team might not be there mentally going into this season.
Really?
I know that's backups. The fact that I can't recall completely, but didn't Sean McDermott say he basically had to talk to the team, including the starters that weren't playing, to be engaged with the game itself, and that they were more engaged against Tampa? I don't know.
See, this is where last week you teased, or a couple of weeks ago, you teased that maybe you didn't feel as good about this Bills season as maybe you had in past years or earlier in the spring and summer.
Correct.
You're kind of going down that negative road of headspace with these guys.
But
I just can't take from a preseason game where guys didn't even start, your regular guys. I just don't see getting all up in arms about that and then saying we're going to take that into week one. That's something that happened 3 weeks ago when your main guys aren't even playing.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a different feel to this team this year. I've noticed it all summer long. It feels like in the movie Rocky III, where Rocky got complacent, thinking, you know, he's a winner now. He threw Thunder Lips over the thing, the late Hulk Hogan. And then he goes up against Mr. T and gets the crud knocked out of him because he became too much. Oh, I'm really good at
I'm not seeing the same thing as you as far as mentally being complacent or a lack of caring. I don't know. I don't see it, but you could be right. That's your view. We also argued about James Cook's body language in a similar conversation during the spring.
Maybe I'm just trying to be shocking and get people riled up, Andy, because I will say this, as much as I just said what I just said, if you look at the Bills' schedule, you cannot not see them winning at least 12 games.
That's what I think.
Right.
You don't sound so sure of yourself in that regard.
I go back and forth. Talk to me after the opener because I just have so many questions on with what's going on with the defense and the youth and even the youth that might have to be playing cornerback. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cop-out, but it's such a week-to-week league. They could look horrible in the opener and come back and win 5 straight games.
Yeah, that happens. That's the NFL.
So
I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I guess
I need to see trends.
I'm not saying I think they have a bad mental attitude going into the season and they're going to lose. I'm saying I don't feel I've seen enough to know what they're actually going to be putting out there.
Well, that's a different thing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to clarify that. I'm not, I brought up the thing just because I'm trying to win an argument with you, and I'll just pull stuff out of my caboose to try and
I'm used to that over the last 20 years.
Turn you around, but I don't know. We'll see. This is like the first time going into the regular season. I just don't know what the product's going to look like.
Usually you're more bullish about the Bills going into a season than I am. But I just don't see the vast difference from last year that would make you think any differently. And I actually think in some regards they're going to be better. I think the receiving core potentially is better than last year. I think the defensive front potentially is better than last year. It's all on paper at this point.
Right.
But I think the things they've done have made it better. Like Rasul Douglas wasn't great last year.
Right.
So, okay, you bring in a couple of rookies and Trey White until Max Harrison gets rolling. He's a rookie too. Yeah, that's a question mark. But I think another year with Bishop, if he's better than Hamlin was last year, there's another improvement.
Mm-hmm.
You have Milano back, at least healthy for now. Bernard, healthy for now. So I think Keon Coleman in year 2. So I think I'm not saying they're going to be better than last year overall, and the results at the end of the season will be better because what they've been doing is pretty darn good. Like, get another win or two, and you probably get the 1 seed at some point, unless the Chiefs pull horseshoes out of their ass again, like they did last season.
So frustrating last season.
But I just think there is an opportunity in some regards for this team to be better. Of course, they could take a step back. Of course, everybody eats might not work anymore, and you need an alpha dog there. Of course, they could get burned at their second corner spot. All of those things could happen, but I think on paper there's potential for, in those small segments, for them to actually be better on paper than they were going into last year. Don't you think, like, Joey Bosa, if all things are equal and they're healthy, is better at this point in his career than Von Miller?
I don't think Joey Bosa is better than when Von Miller first got here.
No, I'm talking about last year.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So, like, I think they've made improvements. Whether that all comes to fruition, and guys get hurt, things happen, right?
And you have
Off
Michael
defense,
Hoyt not showing up until after the bye week.
Larry Ogunjobi.
With some fresh legs for those two there.
This is kind of a spirited discussion. It's usually I take the pessimistic view in these things, the realist pessimist, and you're more, these guys are going to be great, and until they're not.
I got to mention this on the TV side of the show that we're doing also today, just to put it out there. Part of my big thing was I think the Bills are going to struggle at times this year, but this is the year they get to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That this is one of those things where there's just this big question. Well, at least they made the playoffs, and they're going to go on something.
Yeah, and there's something to say about that, too, the whole battle-tested,
right,
fight through adversity.
They proved it a few years ago.
Get hot at the right time.
Here I am shifting to the other side. A few years ago, what do they have to win? 7 straight regular season games to get into the playoffs, and they did it.
Yeah.
And then won a couple more, or at least one more playoff game.
Yeah.
So they can do it with this core group, but the core group to me is kind of changing. Like, you still have McDermott, you still have Allen.
The secondary core has changed.
Right.
So you have Allen, you have McDermott, you have Deion Dawkins, different guys, Ed Oliver. But then the core beneath that, the second wave, has changed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rousseau. You have Shakir, Coleman, Spencer Brown. Like there's a upswell of a little bit of a younger talent base. I mean, Brown's been here for a while and been pretty good, but to your point, it has changed. Benford, right? Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
These are the next guys to lead them through this window while Josh Allen still has a few more years left in his prime.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So I'm I'm all over the map on this, but let's get to the spread, Andy. Bills -1, I think. I can't really read, but I got BetMGM up. Bills -1. I'm not taking the Bills in week 1, and not even in a close one. Can't do it.
I'll take the Bills. I would say the Bills by 3.
Over under 50.5. So 50.5. Week 1 of the regular season.
I would take the under.
I would take the under too, but that's not fun. So for the record, I'll take the over in this one, and this game will get a little fun in the second half.
So you're going over and the Bills lose?
Yeah.
I'm going under and the Bills win. So that means if it's under and the Bills win, that's going to be a nip and tuck, tight, close game.
Yeah.
Have you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
It's going to be one of those ones where you can't get up in the second half. I think both ways, either a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game, because it's just going to – you don't know when things are going to change.
Real quick, Roy Collins, viewer on Facebook, or a viewer on YouTube.
Yeah.
We've already kind of discussed this a little bit, Roy, but if no Trey on Sunday, who plays CB2? It's up for debate at this point. Right. I'm leaning towards Dorian Strong.
Oh, my.
But we'll see. Could be Jamarcus Ingram. Maybe we see a rotation. Maybe we see a little bit of Dane Jackson, too. We'll see.
Ooh, Dane Jackson. Well, we'll find out. I mean, it's Wednesday. As the week goes on, things could change. But I'm leaning towards Dorian Strong as well. It just seems like that's how that's
reading the tea leaves, so to speak.
Do you want to, before we head out, explain the Gabe Davis situation now that he's coming to the practice squad?
So Gabe Davis is joining the Bills practice squad. However, because they have 6 vested veterans already on the practice squad, that's the limit. They have to release someone, a veteran, to make room for Davis. That person is going to be, according to Brandon Beane, who talked with reporters after practice, that's going to be Jordan Poyer. So Poyer technically gets released from the practice squad, but as soon as Gabe Davis gets on the practice squad, they're going to place him on the practice squad injured list, which creates another hole in the practice squad, and they will re-sign Jordan Poyer. So a procedural deal there to make room. Once Gabe Davis continues to recover from his torn meniscus, he can't practice for the next 4 weeks once he goes on that practice squad injured list. Once he comes back from that, he can rejoin the practice squad, sign with the 53, whatever that might be, and then they'll have a decision to make about how many veterans they have at that point.
So many moving pieces this year, it seems to me, more than any other year covering the team. And you talk about all the former Bills players that are coming on the practice squad. I just don't have a problem with that.
No, not at all.
These guys back who know the system and were leaders on the team.
You're making a run. You're pushing for it all. Yes, you've kind of reshaped your roster the last couple of years, but you're so close. So the Bills clearly see as like we can either use lottery tickets on young guys, undrafted free agents, whatever, and put them on the practice squad, hope they develop in a year or two, or we can use up some of those spots on the practice squad for veterans who can contribute leadership, experience in the classroom and on the field, knowledge for the young players that they do have on the 53, and in case of emergency, whether it be injuries or performance-based, call those guys up to the active roster and have guys while they may not be superstars, know what they're doing on the field and can contribute for you. So I have no problem with it at all.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's do a little 3 and out before we go real quick here. Chiefs, Chargers, Friday night on YouTube. I know my older friends are getting sick of more apps getting added to NFL games. It's just more of a headache.
You know what it sounds like to me?
What?
Cable. You have all these subscriptions with all these channels, and they're bundling them together to make deals so that you get this with this. It's freaking cable. Yes, I know.
Andy, you work for a cable company.
I know we work for Charter Communications and Spectrum Cable, but I would say this if I worked for Joe's Pizza Shop. It's the same damn thing.
But
in the guise of the only thing that's different is you get the guise of I'm picking what I want, I guess. I don't want to talk too much here. I might get whapped by the bosses.
Well, my dad likes when I bring him up on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll bring him up. He doesn't have YouTube and doesn't want YouTube. I tell him it's free. He can just get the regular YouTube.
Get the app.
Right. But no.
Can you convince your mom to do it?
I could convince my brother or my nephew to just go over and put it on their TV.
And then turn it on for them.
And oh, by the way, you can watch us on YouTube as well, obviously.
Yes.
So
They watch you on Facebook, though, don't they?
yeah, they do.
So if you've got Facebook, Mr. Carroll,
Oh, he's fine. He watches every week, but
then just get another app, YouTube. It's great.
there you have
You
it.
can watch old history stories, old football games. They've got everything on YouTube.
I told him you can watch. He served on the USS Intrepid that's docked down in New York City. You can watch documentaries on that. He was part of this Boston-based MTV music video station in the early 80s that there's a nice 2-hour documentary on how it came to be and how it just folded. So there's stuff on there, Dad. Download the app.
But I do feel people's pain about not being able to just turn on your TV and flick through the bottom 3 channels, the old over-the-air channels, and find a football game. Like the Amazon Prime games, the YouTube games, Peacock games. If you don't subscribe to these things, that's difficult. So I feel the pain there.
And if you have all your apps on your Xbox and it breaks down, you can't watch crap. I think that's it, Andy. I haven't watched anything but football. So I had to sleep on the couch because 4 nights of college football didn't go over too well.
Yeah. Claire. It's
it's
football season.
Yeah.
What do you expect? You guys got to stay informed.
Yeah,
It's your job.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, I know we're recording right now, but if you're going to want to watch this on the television side of things, Kevin brought it up earlier. We've got our Buffalo End Zone season kickoff special with Stevie Johnson, Kevin, myself. That airs live 8 o'clock tonight. There are also encore performances 9 o'clock on Spectrum News Buffalo and Spectrum News Rochester on Friday and Saturday leading into the game.
And he's got a nice one-on-one with the aforementioned Keon Coleman going into his sophomore season.
Yeah, check it out. He was really candid, really good. I think you're going to want to take a listen to what Mr. Coleman had to say.
And we'll be back at 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday for the next Buffalo End Zone podcast after the Bills and Ravens. As always, thanks for joining us, everyone.